Running my own search engine for my notes right now. Well, I'm glad you're doing that, because we're actually Pineapples. We're gonna have to talk about that, because I've written several also already that are based on capturing the metadata from. So the whole advantage of having a solid sort of knowledge domain model, document model, or data model, whatever, is that you can then extract metadata out of the markdown, put it into like a readme.json file, and then you can use the readme.json file to search locally and produce dynamic auto-populating sort of view press query JavaScripty kind of things. And then you can make it in a progressive web app, so you can search your own notes anytime from your phone. That I've had that working. I had it working with ViewPress for a while, and then I got off of that and started working on another thing. And that is the goal. I've actually had it working at one point, and now I'm trying to get it back, having gone through the domain model allocation. The whole entire thing depends on writing the data in a structured way and managing your data as knowledge nodes, because if you don't look at it that way, you can't generically. The reason that Google SEO even exists is because there's no standard semantic structure for any of the data on the web. And if there were, you wouldn't need Google. You could just you could say all the headers and all the documents are all at a certain level. You could even use sliders to up to rank and up turn down the heuristics on your search. So you could like say, hey, I want to find everything that's got this word or that in the body content, or because you would have actual structure. That was kind of the idea behind the semantic web, even though it kind of took a turn, like a detour. But yeah. So once you have the structure, the search engine is easy. And so let me just make a point about this. So this is the reason when you see me like get so passionate. I did. This is the reason that I get so passionate about small things like, I don't know, this. grep all of the titles out of everything, guys. Check this. So I'm going to grep the title, the second level titles out of everything in this entire site. And I can do this because I followed a basic markdown convention of only using setx headers, which begin with hashtags, and naming everything readme.md. And now look, you see this? And because I did that, I can now get every one of my headers. It's just a simple matter to split off the stuff, and now I've just created my own pseudo database of all my titles. That kind of facilitation does not happen unless you follow some sort of standard with regard to your data. This is why when you guys hear me harp about like markdown and stuff, that's where it's coming from. Because if you use artistic expression in your markdown, you reduce your ability to search it in a structured and organize it in a structured way later. So that's where that's coming from. Just wanted to show you that. Pretty cool, because you can just pull out all your notes, put that into a JSON thing, and now you've got something to search. It tells you exactly what page it was on. Yeah, I know. I want purple pineapples. It sounds like you could really help me develop the standard. I've got like 9 or 10 knowledge node types right now, but I think that we should be able to sort of. The thing that's really great is that YAML already comes with a metadata definition language that's not very complicated. You basically just write a document and then label it, and by doing that, we can actually create our own types. So people could even extend it at some point and have their own types, but we want to have some core types. And this goes for like, so basically we're creating an API for knowledge, and if we can create an API for knowledge, it can be extended. It can be, but we'll have have a base of a thing that we can actually use, so that we can at least know that knowledge is being used consistently, and then you can so anyway, that's where this is all going. It's just going very slowly, and I'm trying to get there as fast as I can. But right now I'm talking about asynchronous processing of multiple jobs. And I just decided that rather than to bail and punt and just use the syscalls, which are Unix only, I'm going to go ahead and use the built-in concurrency of Go, which is cross-platform. And that long-term will help me have a tool that is concurrent across all operating systems and platforms, and that can be tuned up and down depending on how many cores are available. And this would actually placate Frank. I wish Frank were here. Frank was like, you can't just fork off an unknown amount of processes and expect that to keep your system from crashing. I was like, you're absolutely right, but it works for now. Yes, it definitely will be. Yeah, it definitely, validating YAML is definitely going to be a part of it. Yeah, for sure. That's actually really easy, and I'm glad you mentioned. I actually wrote in the blog about it earlier. That's why I have to do this as Go, because when I do it in Go and I try to marshal the data and the data is missing for any reason, the validation of the YAML is built into Go automatically, because when you go to load the YAML data, if the object doesn't unmarshal properly, doesn't deserialize or whatever, and you're done. So you automatically get validation along with it just for using it. It's also the reason to use YAML and JSON above everything else, because those things are already. The other thing, really great thing about Markdown is that any of those Markdown files are also valid YAML files, which means I can pass those to an unmarshaling routine and Go, and it will completely ignore the body of the text and just look at the YAML portion, and then it will inflate that into a structure, and then I can read the rest of the body of the data by looking for the first 3 dashes at the beginning of the header. Yeah, so this is why structured data is so important, like structured knowledge. And I think we got a good shot at getting people to. All right, so. Well, first things first, I just got to get concurrent pandoc processes running. If I do that one thing, everything else is downhill after that. I mean, that's the most difficult thing for me to do in this application. To load in broken JSON files, where it does actually. If it can sometimes, yep. Sometimes it can do it, not all the time, but I think this is easier than I made it out to be. I'm going to ignore this code for now, because I have some other code I need to practice using. Use cases for oh, absolutely. Yeah, student doctor. Yeah, once I get the tool to do the documentation, the first thing I'm going to document is all of the things to do, all of the exact use cases for how to use it, how to use each data type. There is a little... I will kind of alluded to all of this in robs.io, if you can stand to put up with my swear words, in one of the blogs there, which helped me realize that I wanted to get rid of chronological blogs in general. You have no idea how fast I want to get people on board to help, because I think I could really use the help. And I need to get you a basic tool that's concurrently building, and then we need to build out the templates. And I'll be doing the templates. I was going to do the templates tonight, but I don't think I'm going to have time. I just want to get this thing to render. That's it. First of all, I just want to get concurrent process to work. So I'm actually going to change my status to say that. Status. Getting concurrent pandoc processes to fork safely and Go. All right, so that's what's up. Is this still the old one? Oh God, did I forget to update it? Because I changed it so it's not as offensive. I wrote it during a bad moment. Yeah, I kind of changed it. It's a little bit nicer now, but it's still problematic. But yeah, the day that I'm talking about is actually, this has got to change. This is why I can't, all right, so here we go. Here are all the types currently. So, and this is, people have been saying, oh, you haven't been doing anything. Who is it? Clementino's been giving me crap about not working on RWXGG. You haven't changed it in 2 weeks. This is where all my efforts have been going. So, because as I've been going through RWXGG, I've been sort of distilling new data types to capture and trying to get my head around what they're going to look like. Collection is cool. That came to me one morning. I cannot wait to implement that. Paralist, number of parent lists. These are pretty much all of the sort of chunks of data that you would encounter in a magazine or a blog or anywhere really. And they have parallels in Pandoc by itself, and even Markdown, but looking at an entire knowledge node as one of these allows you to do other things like aggregation. And this isn't even the latest one, actually. I have to get you the latest one. It's the chronological log. Actually, I think I'm probably going to drop the log format. I don't know, we'll keep it, but I'm not going to use chronological logging for blogging anymore ever. I'm going to force myself to put a title on them, just because it's unsearchable. As you saw already, this is the thing I just ran into, because I'm just like, it's all live and learn. So I was doing chronological blogging. I've been doing that for a very long time, for over 2 years now. Because here's the problem. Okay, so if you have a lot of overhead in your blogging process, you won't blog. You'll like be thinking about what the title is and screwing around with the created date. And you're doing art directed blog. You're like picking fonts and the best emojis and the best opening image, and you're like wasting time. You're not like capturing the thought in the moment. And so I got rid of it. I chucked the idea, and I said, look, I just gonna have a timestamp, and I'm just gonna think. I'm just gonna put down the thoughts that I have, and that's fine until you want to come back to it. And unless you have a really hefty search engine, you can't come back to it. It's also not good for people who want to consume your data, because they can't really break it down. You know what I mean? They want to see. So I ended up, this is a total band-aid, but this is all of the topics that are covered in this week's blog. And then I was like, why am I not just making titles for these things? And then I've started doing title-specific blogging, and I'm hitting the other problem. It's taking me so long to write the title of the blog and come up with a subtitle that, by the time I do that, my thought's gone. And that's the whole point of blogging, is to be able to capture that thought right away. And it doesn't make any sense to me to like have an iPad to write it out, or a written tablet, and then to transfer that to a blog. I want to be able to just jump right in, just like as soon as I have the thought, brain dump the thought into written material that's going to help me process, the whole W and RWX. It's going to help me wonder about it and, like really work on it in my head. And then what? And then I can move on. I don't have to dwell on it. I can like dump it out and move on, and then it'll come back later because my brain will like bring it up later. So, but if I have to think about something as simple as a title, by the time I have the title done, it's already gone. So I've revised my process somewhat, and this is why my emphasis on the KN tool has come up, because I went to go make an automated blog. I used to have this. I would type blog, boom, and it would like log me right into my VI and set up a whole entry for me right away, and it would be ready for me to start typing, and I would just literally just start typing. And that was ideal. Oh my God, so much good memories good ideas and everything came out of it. Well, I want to get that back. And so I was trying to get that back, and then I was like, okay, I need to get my can shell routine done. And so I added my stuff to this can shell routine, and then I'm like, I really need to grow this into something bigger. And now I'm stuck in Go, and now I'm all the way in the rabbit hole of making concurrent Pandoc, because I need to have the render tool before I can do any of the other things, including the blog subcommand. But when the blog subcommand is done, what that'll do is it'll just open up a blog, and it'll set me there, and I'll just start writing. And then I don't have to think about the title right away. I can actually come back and change the title later if I want to mess with it. Or you guys saw me working on the slug generator, the auto-G generator in Rust yesterday. And the reason for that is so that I can type a blog space and then type the title right on the command line, have it generate a slug, which is an auto ID, which is also a sub URL, and then create a directory, name that, add a readme.md file in there, and then it'll drop me right into it in VI so I can edit the thing. And then I'm like editing it right away. I've already got my title. It's a separate article, and it can even be automatically linked to the main blog page. That is ideal. that is like the holy grail of blogging. And the thing that sucks about that is I had that working in shell for the last year, and I've got like a year and a half worth of blogs that have been done doing this method over on my old SkillStack.io site. And so all of this stuff is just like all, coming together. I'm just going to take a break right now. I just exhausted myself talking about it, but at least I can talk about it with somebody maybe is hearing of it. Hi, Max. Also see the quiz format. Yeah, the quiz format. I cannot wait, dude. And by the way, if you guys have any QA format, yes, please use your own note systems, whatever they are, and start to contemplate different knowledge node formats that you would like to see. There's a quiz format there. There's another one called Spoiler, which is Spoilers just is a mode that says only reveal as much as you. It's not like the other ones that exist. It's like only reveal the page as you go, so that you can like read it and use it as a study method. Exobrain is powered by someone using that's nice. Every post is somewhat organized and is a dump of notes that I'm currently thinking of. Complete notes are coming in. Oh man, I'd love to see it. We can maybe riff off each other's ideas. Paralist can be used as QA. Yep. There's a QA. A QA is there's one called FAQ in there. The problem with a FAQ, maybe we can look at that. I think QA should be one. That's a great one. But as you can see, one of the reasons I've been so delayed with the RWXGG stuff lately is that list that I showed you. That list of types has since I discovered that really what I'm struggling with is not writing a lot of Markdown, but it's like creating a data type. And since I've fully embraced the use of YAML at the front rather than like trying to make everything into some sort of Markdown that can be then parsed, as soon as that happened, my brain started exploding with ideas for data types for knowledge nodes, just like you guys are doing. And then I just got sucked in. All I could do was think about, oh yeah, there's this idea of a bolded initial paragraph, followed by a paragraph. There's this idea of like a long list. There's these spoilers. There's what is a video? Can a video be composed into another thing? Can I have two together? Can I create a template that is a composite of multiple things? So it's like basically an object relational model, but dumped out into a web page. All of these things just kept flooding in, and so I just kept getting all these different ideas, and I kept writing them down on my blog. And then I was annoyed because it was so hard to manage my blog, and now I'm like working on trying to fix my blog. It's just funny, people. It's just funny, but at least you get an insight into the crazy. So yeah. I think that YAML makes a lot of sense. Way easier than editing a SQL actual database, but enough structure. Pineapples, it's clear that you're like thinking about the same sorts of ideas, and I mean you're struggling. Oh, this is beautiful. I mean you're struggling with these same ideas, and oh wow, very nice. Thank you for that. I can't wait to see what you come up with here. This is really cool. Another thing too is what else I noticed? I got some ideas. I'm going to steal some ideas from the Rust project. One thing the Rust project has done really well is their documentation. And so one of the data types that I want is to be content. And if you set it as content, what it'll do is it will extract the outline of all the stuff that's there, and then it will generate, that side pane where you can usually you can click on it, and in the right pane it updates what it is, so you can kind of page through the book. So that's a type. It's like an index type that can be auto-generated. So there's the sky's the limit here. If we build a system where people can add their own types to the system, it's ongoing. You could do whatever you wanted to with the system. It would really be nice to be able to get some kind of map to link knowledge nodes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing actually. That's exactly. So one of the types is, in fact, that's what got me started on the whole thing, is because I was trying to write a slash map that would show you all the different things that to go to, and I was putting how-tos combined with challenges, and I was trying to decide how to organize that data, and that's what now we have a challenge type. This is the challenge type is actually changed to a specification. Specification is a list of requirements, and then challenges that combined with the how-to, blah blah blah. I mean, and these don't have to be, they can be a little bit liquid. We can change it, but the point is you need to be able to derive the type. So there's two ways to get to the data. One of them is you need to have a structured topical index kind of thing, but it needs to be an aggregate that you decide. Because here's the problem. You have data that lives at sort of a semi-flat level that is reconstructed in different ways depending on who's looking at it. And that's that whole composable aggregate nature of knowledge that we really have to nail. So Gitbook doesn't do this. any of the other documentation projects that are out there, none of them allow the reuse of specific components, knowledge components. And so what we're talking about, in fact, this just occurred to me. Oh my God, I got to write this down. We're talking about applying component-oriented programming to knowledge. That's what this is. We're making knowledge components, and then we're allowing them to be regrouped together in different ways without having to rewrite them or provide redundancies. Component-oriented programming for knowledge. I got to write that down. Because it's hard to sell people. Once they understand it, people get really sold on the idea. But it's really hard to communicate this idea to a layperson. What are you making? Oh, I'm making a static site generator. Oh, like WordPress? No. Like Hugo? No. Like Gatsby? No. Not the same thing. Oh, you're remaking semantic web? No. It's like I'm making component-oriented knowledge. That's what I want to have. And it's if the vision gets out there, maybe someday somebody will pick it up, even if I can't finish the whole thing. The way it's going, it's taking me forever. But I want to get our legs under us so that I can have other people creating other templates. See, here's the thing. Once we get the structure down, just the basic structure, people can build their own data types, their own knowledge component types, whatever we end up wanting to call it. And then they can write the Pandoc template to go with it. And they can put that in a centralized repository, which Pandoc already does. Yet another thing that Pandoc is so fucking amazing at. You can load any template from Pandoc over the web. Yeah, just by listing it as an HTTP, it will pull it down and it will use it. So what I'm trying to say is the way this is going, that's like the coming together. Oh yeah, and we definitely want it in different languages, but that's going to be, there's a big debate about whether you should have a separate knowledge base for a separate language, and I really believe strongly at this point that that is the way to go. Wikis who have tried to put English and Russian and all that in the same wiki always fail, because inevitably they hit into differences as to how that data is composed. And this is another part of component-oriented knowledge management. Katie would try to consider, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's how to be implemented. It would be really nice to be able to have something mapped. Yeah, it really, yeah, you're just treating knowledge as pure data, and then you allow it to be composed however you need it to be composed, even across the board. It carries many of the original ideas of the World Wide Web and the semantic web and all those other things, but if we do it right, it won't come with the weight of those things. The reason they failed is they collapsed under their weight in complexity and over specification. And I think the time is really right for this because we have YAML there for managing our data in a nice, easy, happy way. We've already got all the tools necessary to do the parsing and everything. And I'm excited about that. I need to take a break. Second Brain. I've heard about the Second Brain, I think, a little bit. Where did I hear about that? Can you imagine, Student Doctor, can you imagine if our World Wide Web had been built on something like this? I mean, thank God we had hypertext, right? But even hypertext is being defeated by SEO. You are punished. You are punished for linking to a web page. Google punishes you and drops your rank for linking to a web page. That is a fact. And if that's not a fact that doesn't just piss everybody off and make them want to get away from Google, I don't know what else I can tell you. They punish you for linking out instead of rewarding you for linking out because you're not an authority. The more you have people linking into you, the more of an authority you must be. That's bullshit. And that has destroyed our web. It's destroyed us. Chasing the money. So people have chased the money, and so they put clickbait shit with no outbound linking to encourage dialogue and cross-referencing, which is what the web was initially intended to do, because of fucking Google. Google has destroyed the web single-handedly with its SEO ranks. And there's no coming back. The web is dead. There's no coming back from that. And when you hear people, somebody even today asked me about Gopher. The reason that academics and people who care about knowledge are starting to think about radical other ideas, like Gopher again, for God's sake, is because they have realized that the promise and hope of the web has been destroyed by Google. And it's really sad. It's really sad. It almost makes me just get emotional because we and it's also, Aaron Swartz would get it. In fact, that's why he made Reddit and everything else. And the Wikipedia people, they get it. But the web is screwed up. We didn't have YAML back then. We didn't have HTML5 that we have now. We didn't have Pandoc. We didn't have really amazing tools like Go and Rust and those kind of things back then. So it's actually a very ripe moment in history for us to make it over again, to create a new knowledge net, a README world, an essential web full of readers, writers, creatives, and those who encourage outbound exchange of information instead of inbound lock-in. I gotta go. So, anyway, fish. I don't even care. If you're out there and you're hearing my ideas here and you're saying, I'm going to go make that, I'm going to make $1 million. Fine. It just needs to be done. I don't know how you even have money in it. That's why nobody's doing it, because there's no money in it. No money in it. What is the academic field that covers knowledge management? What is that field in general? I've been wondering about that, because I would maybe want to go get a master's, PhD or something, and then have this be a project, because maybe people would actually, trust what I have to say if I had a degree. And you can go straight for a PhD. You don't even have to get a master's. Actually had a director of a PhD program tell me that. He suggested directly, he goes, dude, you should go straight for the PhD and skip master's. And I was like, what's it going to get me? If it gets me the attention of the academic world enough for them to maybe get behind me on some of this stuff, because they tell you what, the corporate world ain't going to help, because there's no money in it, and it's going to destroy our current cash cows if we do it right. Which I would love. I would love to destroy the cash cows that are making money off advertising dollars. That's coming for you, Google. You know what? I like your technologists. I like your engineers. I hate that you make 90% of your money off of marketing to us while dominating our personal lives. Yeah, I'm coming for you. I read a whole article on Wired magazine, I think it was. Was it Wired? I don't think so. I don't think it was Wired. I think it was another one. But it was like, it was about, do you have your saved script on GitHub? Yeah. I can give it to you though. It's not too hard. There you go, Tritus. It's all yours. It's pretty informative. Knowledge management. See, you student doctor, to tell you the truth, I don't think I've even searched for knowledge management before. Knowledge management is a term for me that's only come about within the last year. And before that, I was calling it the essential web, the README world. I had all these, I had all these other different titles for it. Creating, sharing, and using management. This is exactly what I just wrote in my utility. So I'm not alone, thank God. Multidisciplinary approach to achieving organizational objectives by making the best use of knowledge. It's not just to making the best use of knowledge. It's the sharing. Does it have sharing? Yes, good. An established discipline since 1991. KM, interesting. Includes courses taught in fields of business administration, information systems, information sciences. Other fields may contribute to research, including computer science, public health, public policies. Ooh. Nonprofit have a resource dedicated to KM. You know what? I might have to go back and get a degree. I have to save my dollars, save my pennies up. I don't want a degree though. I don't need the degree other than to get more people that might get interested. I might be able to do the same thing just by finishing a foundation here and keep open sourcing the whole effort and just leveraging everybody instead of, bowing down to some academic, conference forum. Human resource management departments. I would really, Wolfram, he's over here. I wonder if he would even talk to me because, he made all that stuff. He doesn't watch other streams. He's just in his own little world, but I'm no different. So, but I sometimes wonder if I were able to bounce ideas off people like him. Knowledge management effort typically focus on organizational objectives. Again, why do I even care about all this? Because this is scratching my own itch, so to speak. I've been trying to keep up with the knowledge that I need to teach people for years and been unable to do it because none of the knowledge management systems that exist today can keep up. They cannot keep up with the pace. And as the pace of knowledge and the pace of progress in general, as that increases exponentially as it has been, our existing knowledge management systems, including books and wikis and all that stuff, they're going to fail because they can't keep up. They can't keep up. Share the lessons learned, integrating continuous improvement of the organization, competitive advantage, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't give a shit about that. These efforts overlap with organizational learning. Yes. It may be distinguished from that, a greater focus on management of knowledge, a strategic asset. No. And encouraging, it is a strategic asset, but stop talking about it like it's something you're going to monetize. Assholes. And on encouraging the sharing of knowledge. Okay, I'm with you. KM is an enabler of organizational learning. KM, knowledge management. Should I call my thing KM instead of KN? It's like one letter off. What do you think? Sam Griffin. Holy cow. Just in time to hear me rant some more. Would you like a chip? What are the current tools? I don't know. Should I name it KN or KM? You got to hear the end of it? You and I have more things in common than we probably realize. I'm not so sure whether a degree or this would be beneficial, especially if you're not looking to start up an academic career. I've had deans tell me that. Stay the hell away from academia. You don't want anything to do with this. Go pitch to other like-minded people and find them out there. Ta-da! Here I am on the stream trying to find you. If you network with the right people, academic research, scientific research just makes sense. Yeah. Hey, Clementio. Are you here for your regular Russian trolling? You missed the Russians over here, Clementino. Calling Kim is a bit weird since you're naming it after a concept. I like knowledge node better. You know what? None of them have thought of the term of knowledge node before. Science and technology studies legacy thinking. Articles about science, blah, blah, blah. Anything is possible on this stream. Can I just say, you guys actually uncovered the source code that killed people. I am so amazed by that accomplishment the other night. That was some time ago, but I still have all those links. And I am going to make those t-shirts, and you're going to get a free one. I swear to God. Spaghetti Code Kills. That's going to be the t-shirt. We weren't even planning anything. It was just some random talk. All right. So I'm going to actually get some code done now. I'm super jazzed now. So the fluff up. Wouldn't that be fun? Spaghetti Code Kills, and on the back is the actual code that killed people according to the discovery, and a sweet just in time for the coding instead of the ranting. I hear ya people.